Man vs. Wild started 10 years ago in 2006. Bear Grylls was on holiday in Africa with his army friends. In Jahia, he decided to go skydiving. Having vast experience in parachuting, Bear had jumped from planes many times before. Everything was going according to plan. One by one, his friends leaped from the plane, then Bear followed. As soon as he jumped, he plummeted at a speed of 200 kilometers per hour. 15,000 feet, 10,000 feet, 5,000 feet. At 3,000 feet above the ground, he pulled the parachute cord. But something was wrong. His speed did not decrease. He was still falling fast. Bear panicked. He looked up at his parachute and saw that its ropes were completely tangled. He pulled the cords frantically, trying to get the chute to open properly, but he was already too close to the ground. He crashed through trees and slammed into the earth. Darkness engulfed him. Bear landed on his back with such force that it felt like a stone had been crushed into his spine. Despite the fall, he was conscious but unable to move. He lay there, crying in pain, hoping someone would come to rescue him. Hours passed. The pain was unbearable. He thought death would have been better than this suffering. Eventually, his friends arrived, carried him into a car, and rushed him to a nearby hospital. At the hospital, Bear writhed in pain, losing consciousness repeatedly. The doctors administered injections to ease his suffering. The next day, he asked, "Doctor, how long will it take for me to recover?" The doctor showed him the X-ray and said, "Bear, 3 bones in your spine, some of the strongest bones in your back, are shattered. You will never walk again." Bear felt as if his world had collapsed. At just 21, the man who once climbed mountains now couldn't even walk to the bathroom. Veer says the pain of breaking bones from the fall was nothing compared to the agony of the slow healing process. Lying in the hospital for a year, he kept thinking he would never walk again. Adventure and travel had given his life meaning, and now that meaning was gone. Every night, he replayed the accident in his head, regretting his choices. Anxiety kept him awake, drenched in sweat, gasping for breath. Instead of improving, his condition worsened. He slipped into deep depression, losing all hope. People thought Bear was mentally tough, but inside, he was terrified. One day, his eyes landed on a picture of Mount Everest hanging on the wall. He thought, "Who knew that a simple picture could change my life?" Bear and his father had always dreamed of climbing Everest. But at that moment, he couldn't even stand. Yet something inside him ignited. He struggled out of bed, reached for the picture, and stared at it. Then he made a promise to himself. "No matter what, I will not only walk again, but I will also climb the highest mountain in the world." That thought took root in his subconscious. The next day, he remembered something his grandmother used to say. "Son, everything that happens in life is for good. It is only humans who find excuses to make themselves miserable." He realized that he could have died in that accident. He could have lost his hands, legs, or even his eyesight. But he was alive. That meant there was still a purpose for him. He stopped overthinking about whether he would walk again or rejoin the special forces. Instead, he focused on repairing his mind first. As his stress and negativity faded, his body began to heal faster. With each passing day, his mental strength grew, his pain lessened, his bones healed. After 8 months, he was discharged. Within a year, he could walk again. But the army declared him unfit for duty. With no job and no income, Bear faced another challenge. Climbing Everest required money, a lot of it. For a month, he wrote sponsorship requests to 250 companies. Every single one rejected him. Desperate, he even sent letters daily to Richard Branson, the owner of Virgin Group. No reply. Then one day, he stumbled upon a company called David Landon Estates. He walked into their office, pleaded for a meeting, and after much persistence, the CEO finally listened. Impressed by Bear's passion, he agreed to sponsor him. In April 1998, just 19 months after his accident, Bear and his team began their climb. But Everest is unforgiving. One day, as he stepped on the ice, the ground beneath him gave way. He fell into a deep crevasse, plummeting down into darkness. He hit the icy walls, but a rope attached to him held firm. Hanging there, he saw his teammates pulling him up. Using all his strength, he clawed his way out. Then came another challenge. A massive storm was approaching Everest, making the climb almost impossible. Bear prayed the entire night. Miraculously, the storm changed direction, giving them an extra 2 days. This was their last chance. On May 16, 1998, after a grueling 17-hour climb, Bear Grylls stood on top of the world. At just 23 years old, he became the youngest Briton to climb Everest at that time. The journey was brutal. 4 people lost their lives. Bear himself had 2 near-death experiences, but he had done it. His story spread, leading to speaking engagements, documentaries, and ultimately, his famous show on Discovery Channel, Man vs. Wild. Even today, 25 years after the accident, Bear says he still feels pain every day, but he is grateful. Life hits you hard, but you have to get up and hit back. Struggles make you stronger. The bigger the pain, the bigger the lesson. He believes courage doesn't mean you have no fear. It means facing your fears and pushing forward. There are 2 types of people: those who take risks and push their limits, and those who play it safe. Most people spend their lives chasing small pleasures, never realizing their true potential. Bear's advice? Step out of your comfort zone. Be ready for challenges. Pain is part of growth, but when you keep your dreams alive and believe in yourself, life will support you. Final words. If you ever feel stuck in life, remember Bear Grylls' journey, from being told he'd never walk again to standing on top of Everest. Life is a precious gift. Live it without fear.